Phil. Mrs. Phil. No, we're not breaking up. I wish it was that easy. But, The Strongbox, again, was another episode that I completely forgot about. It was alright watching it again. But like I said, just not another really standout moment. Well, standout episode, to be my opinion. But it was okay. It wasn't horrible, but it was just okay. But not one I would probably watch again if I was just scheming through the series, if I wasn't binge watching it. But the title Strongbox comes from Kramer because he bought a Strongbox to put some of his valuables in there because there had been a few robberies in the building. So, of course, he was so worried that he took the key for the Strongbox and he said he would hide it at Jerry's apartment. Nobody, of course, would know where it is. So he asked everybody to leave Jerry's apartment for a second as he hid the key. Of course, he was... Apparently, either Jerry was that good at seeking or Kramer was that bad at hiding because everywhere he put it, from in the utensil drawer to Jerry's coat pocket, even inside the intercom in Jerry's apartment, Jerry kept finding the key. So Kramer realized he couldn't hide the key in Jerry's apartment anymore. How would he get out of it? How would that happen, though? Unfortunately, it didn't end in good terms. He also hid Jerry's cufflinks in there. He got these cufflinks that were Jerry Lewis's cufflinks that he won at an auction. And I guess he was going to like a Friars Club roast or something like that in the upcoming weeks. So Jerry Lewis was going to be there, so he wanted to wear those cufflinks to show that they have something in common. Even though George kept reminding him, you already do have something in common. Both of you are named Jerry, as he had kept trying to remind him throughout the whole episode. George, meanwhile, though, was in a pickle. Because he's been dating this girl, Mara, that he does not like. He does not like her at all one bit. He especially does not like when she talks to her food. Mr. Tomato and this and that drives George crazy. But every time he goes to break up with her, she just goes, no, we're not broken up. No, we're not broken up. Even when George meant it, she still came back and said, oh, you didn't mean it. And no matter what he said, what he did, he couldn't get out of this relationship. And it drove him nuts. He listed everything he didn't like about her. He even went as far as he dated a woman that he works with, the secretary, that apparently has had a thing for him. She refused, though, to get in bed with him because she actually wanted to build something with him. And even when he got caught with her, neither of them would still break up with him. Whereas every time he would say, really? Yeah, no, we're not broken up. All right, he just gave in. He just could not get out of it. When was it ever that easy to not get out of a relationship? Well, that difficult to not get out of a relationship. Especially if it's one you wanted to get out of. If it's one you didn't want to get out of, then they would, put the closed door completely and not even give you a chance to get back together with them. You know who your name is. That was not nice of me. Anyway. Not getting into my life. Anyways. So that was George's story. Elaine's story was she met this guy on the streets. He didn't tell her where he didn't tell her where he worked. He also didn't tell her his phone number. He just wanted all her information. So Elaine was curious that this guy had some big secret that he was hiding from her. His name was Glenn. Of course, Jerry asked him what happened to Putty. He hasn't called for 3 weeks. I think it's over. Yeah, he comes back eventually in a few episodes. He'll be back. So she still tries to scout things out. Like one time they were out, and then the guy sees a woman coming, and he runs and hides. The guy is getting food out of a trash can and whatnot. And then, of course, the big, surprise, of course, he starts wondering, maybe he's seen someone else, or maybe he's married. Like, what could the secret be? Turns out when they were at some hangout and he was going out into the alley to try to find stuff, and that same lady shows up and says that he's her welfare agent. She's his welfare agent or whatnot. She finds out he's not married. He's poor. But of course, Elaine was obsessed with the fact of I could get caught into some, affair or whatnot. Which of course, it was similar to whenever George, back in The Good Samaritan, had an affair with that married woman, even though he was pretty sure that that's what he was getting into. Whenever he went to go see Robin Sandusky, the lady he had the affair with. So Elaine thought, oh, he's just poor, that's it. So she even helped him get some new things, but it found out he was married in the end. And Elaine just looked like a champ and got out of there, basically. The main story was Jerry's story, which tied into Kramer's also. Because, of course, Kramer put that key in Jerry's buzzer, it broke his buzzer. So he needed that to be fixed. In the meantime, though, Jerry literally just had to go down and let people in whenever they came to see him. One day, this other guy tries to get in too whenever he was letting George in. Jerry says, I don't know you, I can't do this. He goes, but I forgot my keys, I live here. He shuts the door. Jerry shuts the door in his face, and the guy wouldn't go away. Later on in the episode, though, he finds out, oh, the guy really does live here. And not just that, he lives just a couple doors right down the hall from Jerry. His name's Phil. He'd never seen Phil before. But of course, Phil just instantly did not like Jerry. Phil also had a parrot that apparently attacked Kramer while he was in the hallway. But then the parrot named Fredo died. Of course, they're in the hallway crying, and as they're walking back into actually, here's what happened. Kramer said the reason why they saw Phil and his wife in the hallway was because Kramer had told Jerry he hid the key to his Strongbox at Phil's apartment. But Jerry needed his cufflinks. He was getting ready to go to that Friars Club roast with Jerry Lewis. And he wanted to wear those cufflinks to impress Jerry Lewis. So they go to see him, but that's when they came in crying, saying that Fredo died, he had been poisoned or whatnot. But then Kramer said it's odd enough that he got poisoned. He goes, because I actually hid my key in his food bowl. And Jerry realized that Fredo swallowed the key, and that's what killed him. To which Kramer was like, well, Fredo must be a dumb bird then. So then they went with their literal last resort. They were going to go to the pet cemetery, dig up Fredo, and get the key out of him. Just so Jerry can get those stinking cufflinks out of his Strongbox. Of course, whenever they're crying, going back into their apartment, Jerry's like, Phil, Mrs. Phil. Well, they go there, they were digging it up. Kramer, though, went off wandering around. And then, at the same time, Phil and his wife came back to, pay their respects again to Fredo, and Jerry got busted. He got busted trying to dig up Fredo. And Jerry's like, hi, neighbor, which, of course, gave no more of a reason for them to like Jerry any more than they already did. So George, of course, could not get rid of his women, even though he got caught going on a date with another woman. They both still wouldn't break up with him. Elaine ends up being with a guy who's poor and who's married. And Jerry, of course, mistakenly doesn't think the guy lives in the building when he does. And because of Kramer's bad key hiding techniques, kills his bird. And you want to know what the worst part of all is? The worst part of all. George was in there in the apartment during the closing credits. And he thinks the Strongbox is a cooler. He goes, oh, what's in this cooler? Or something like that. And sure enough, even though Kramer hid the key, he forgot to lock it. The whole time, the Strongbox was unlocked. So they didn't have to go to the pet cemetery to try to dig up a dead bird to get the key out of. That's unfortunate. Once again, as Jerry Seinfeld said, the show should have been called Dumb Luck instead of Seinfeld, because that's huge dumb luck. And that's the Strongbox episode. Decent, no, I get it. not the funniest to me, but I get it. I still like the Phil, Mrs. Phil. A couple fun facts. In this episode, Kramer mentioned that he kept his military discharge papers in the Strongbox, considering he was in the Army. In real life, Michael Richards, though, was drafted to the Army in 1970. He trained as a medic and was stationed in West Germany before being honorably discharged. This was also the only one of 2 episodes in which Jerry was seen using the computer in his apartment. The first time was back in season 5's The Stall. He had used his computer. Fredo was weak and stupid. The line Kramer said about Fredo after they found out Fredo died and because he ate Kramer's key was actually from The Godfather Part 2, in which Al Pacino says the line, Fredo has a good heart, but he is weak and stupid. Kramer's Tony Award also that he had gotten back in the Summer of George by being broken was also in the Strongbox. The working title of the episode also was supposed to be The Buzzer. When showing the Castle Rock logo after the credits, you hear Kramer repeated the line said at the end saying, really one for the books, whenever they found the Strongbox was unlocked the entire time. The date of Fredo's death on his tombstone was February 2nd, 1998, 5 days after the episode originally aired. And that's basically it. That's the Strongbox. Next up is The Wizard, and it's not The Wiz, don't worry. It's actually a device. And also, who else shows up in Florida when Jerry goes down to see his father for his birthday? And what other weird antiques happen next in The Wizard? We will talk about that next. Also, George gets himself in trouble with the Rosses in the next episode. Why is that? We'll once again find out next. So guys, what are your thoughts on the Strongbox episode? Make sure your thoughts down in the comments section below. And be sure as always to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. And follow me on Twitter as well at TheManAirboy93. We have 10 reviews left, guys. Until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you all later. Have a great rest of your evening. And peace out, everybody.